Hey guys, welcome back to the build of the Vogt mansion. All right guys, it is Friday today. This is going to be a bit of a tricky video to put together. Reason I say that is, in my mind, I envision opening this video with the scene before we walked into Servus Credit Union about 2 weeks ago. All right, guys, we've got some problems. Actually, big problems. So we met with the bank, and just so we're clear on which bank we're dealing with here, you can see it right there, Servus Credit Union. This update is going to have a little bit of a kind of a crappy undertone to it, but there is definitely some positives coming out of all this as well. So the Coles notes, or the short version of what happened, guys, was Servus Credit Union was extremely negligent in the entire process. So about 2 to 3 years ago, when we purchased the land. Now, before I get into this, guys, hopefully I'm not telling you too much. I just want to be open with everybody, and I want you guys to be able to participate in this experience and the joys and also the frustrations and lows of this experience, which is why I'm sharing this stuff with you. So when we purchased the land in 2017, our land loan was done through Servus Credit Union. There's been multiple applications, multiple pre-approvals for some different variations, whether it's a builder's mortgage or buying a house on an acreage. So the last approval we had with them expired January of 2020. Now at that time, Katie called our guy we were dealing with at the branch, and his name's Bevan. Now Bevan's been an absolute treat to deal with in person, but anything other than in person is just not the same situation. So he promises the world and does not reply to emails, doesn't get back to you, but when you're in person with him, it's a great experience. So at that time, with the phone call, Katie talked to Bevan and said, look, our pre-approval, and at that time it was for buying an existing house on a piece of land. Our pre-approval is expiring in January. You know, we've made the decision, we're going to go ahead with building the house on our existing piece of land. What do we need to do to make sure this gets extended or whatever, because we're working on our plans right now. So at that time, Bevan said to Katie, he said, no problem. All we need to do is talk to the underwriters, get a couple of things changed, and it would be no issue. Perfect. So months and months goes by, and we're now in working on our plans and finalizing things and stuff like that. And then roughly in about September, we finally have everything in place to begin the construction process. Now with everything in place, I mean being able to pay for the first huge portion of the construction process, which is basically getting the foundation into the ground, and at that time you get your first draw. So we had all that in place. So Katie sends our bank an email and says, hey Bevan, we're proceeding with things. We're going to be applying for the building permit. What things do you need from us? So she compiles, the normal financial documents, sends it over to him. It was a pretty vague list, and sends it over to him. I think he replied saying, hey, need it in PDF or something, so she revised it and sent it back. Now, I might share the email history with you guys, I might not. But if you saw this email history, you would be absolutely floored with how terrible their service was. So Katie would email them and say, hey, Bevan, I sent you the updated documents. Can you please confirm that you got them? Let me know. A week would go by and no response. She'd send another email, and this went on for months. She would send updates. Hey, we're putting our footings in. What do we need to do to get to our first draw? How do we do this? What do we do for this? No response. So it got to the point in December when we were at the end of our rope. Like, we were almost done our foundation. We were getting ready for backfill. We needed to order our wood package so it would be here in time for our windows to show up middle of January. Well, we're now at the middle of January. Nothing's been done. So we finally met with the bank manager 2 weeks ago, which would have been the beginning of January. Shared with him our frustrations and experience. And this was an appointment kind of in the afternoon on a Monday. He called us back. Let me back up for a second. One of the things he said in that meeting when we were going through everything was, well, what made you guys move forward without an approval? And that floored us. So I think our reply to them was, well, last time I talked with Bevan in January, he said all we have to do is this, and we'd been approved multiple times beforehand. Anyways, Paul, the bank manager, calls us back later that evening around 5 or something, and our conversation was about an hour long, and basically said we're not approved. And it was brutal. So we've gotten to this point where we have our foundation in. We're ready for them to come inspect it, the bank to come inspect it, to give us our first draw, and we have no financing in place. So I'll share with you guys my feelings. Me and Katie are very different on these things. She's very positive looking when it comes to financial stuff, and she's like, don't worry about it, it'll all work out. And for me, it is a far more serious issue when we have a problem like this. So I was very empty feeling, and I did not feel good about this whole process. That's the best way I can explain it to you, is empty feeling. And we're just getting here to the land. So it was very empty feeling, and that's how I felt. Probably the biggest reason, and I told Katie this, the biggest reason for me was a friend ordered our window package, who we ordered our window package through. He did us a favor, and we ordered our window package. We didn't pay a deposit yet. Well, the windows have landed in Calgary about a week ago, and they're scheduled to be here delivered next week. And we are no further ahead at the house. So, extremely frustrating. Extremely frustrating, depressing, lots of emotions going on lately. And sure, if you want to examine all of this, yeah, we probably should have gotten something in writing saying you guys are approved, please proceed. But it's extremely hard to do that when the bank won't get back to you, when your banker won't get back to you. And one of the worst things was on the Wednesday, so we met with the bank manager on the Monday, had the conversation, he worked on it. Wednesday we went in and met with the bank manager, and who's Paul, and Bevan are the guy that we were dealing with, in the same room. And that was a long meeting, about an hour and a half. And it started with them explaining to us what happened, what went on. Bevan apologized. He said he really crapped the bed on this one and wasn't getting back to us, and he admitted to all that stuff. And then I kind of got to the point where, well, there was a question asked at the very beginning which made me understand that there was going to be no resolution at this meeting. So we kind of got about half an hour, 45 minutes in, and I just flat out asked Paul. I said, Paul, it sounds like it doesn't matter what we say today, doesn't matter what happens here, you guys, there's going to be no positive outcome to this meeting. And his response was something along the lines of, and of course I'm just paraphrasing, yeah, unfortunately Servus can't help you with this. So we spoke for another 45 minutes. It escalated a lot. One of the things that was really frustrating was the lie that they told. And this was like an absolute blatant lie, that whether Bevan lied to Paul, the bank manager, whether Paul was in on it, I don't know, whether they're just covering their tracks. But Bevan said, I called you guys. I called Katie back in, I forget the date, we'll just say October. And I told her on a phone call that you guys weren't approved. And we flat out told him, like, you guys are lying, because Katie definitely would have remembered that phone call. Bevan never calls her, and she would have told me right away. And at that time in October, we don't have our foundation walls yet, and things would have been a lot different. So guys, that's where we're at. Yeah. So we're out here working today. That's the whole kerfuffle that we've been involved in. And it's been very emotional and very frustrating, and lots of angry feelings and stuff. It's pretty terrible. So I don't know why we didn't think about this in the beginning, but obviously, a few years ago we weren't thinking about it would be an issue. But we've got a friend who is the COO of a prominent company, banking firm, and maybe we'll tell you later in the future once things get ironed out. But anyway, she is the COO, so like second in command. And so Katie reached out to her, and she's a good family friend, grew up with Katie's dad, Dwayne, or at least her husband did. They're really good friends. And we reached out to her and had a conversation with her last weekend, shared with her the short version of this entire frustration, and then she asked that we put together an email, which Katie did, and send this email off to her. And they just can't believe what we've gone through with Servus Credit Union. And going through this whole process, talking with other people, trying to find somebody to help us, trying to find a bank that would help us, you start talking to a lot of different people, and this is such a common thing to happen. And when I told Paul that when you guys told us on Monday that you weren't approving us, I started calling around and talking to people, and it sounds like it's a real common occurrence. And he's like, well, I can't believe that would happen, that a bank would approve somebody and then just pull their financing. But I've talked to probably 5, 6 people in those few days. 6 people in those few days that had the same thing happen to them. And some of them were with other banks, and some of them were with Servus Credit Union. So absolutely terrible experience. We still have our land mortgage with them, and that will be pulled as soon as possible. We're done with them, and very, very frustrated with them. Yeah. So guys, that's where we're at with the build. Framing package hasn't been ordered. It's January 15th. Windows are going to be here next week, and they're going to be put in a warehouse, not on site, which is good. The goal with the house was to have the framing package ordered middle of December, show up kind of beginning of January, start assembling it, have like the garage or some area done where you can put the windows in when they're delivered middle of January, and just keep progressing. So obviously in construction things change. So where are we at right now? Well, windows are going to be here next week, storing them in a warehouse. We are working with the bank right now and organizing financing. Of course, you have to go through the whole process again of submitting all your financial stuff. But I tell you, this process with the new bank is very, very detailed, which is what we were expecting. And we never got asked these questions from Servus. So hopefully things go well. Our fingers are definitely crossed because we've got about $150,000 invested in what we've already done on site. We've got windows we have to pay for, and we've got a house that we want to progress. So obviously we want things to go well. Basically we've got, there's an excavator right there, and basically this week they came and they did a trench from the wellhead, which is right beside the excavator bucket, to the house, which is right kind of behind us back there. And they put our water line in, which is awesome. Basically, we put in 2 water lines, a backup water lines there, just in case something ever happens to the primary water line. And you can see in the pictures, there's the power wire for the pump at the well location. So that happened this week.
This is the water line being dug in, installed. You can see the little spigot at the bottom of the pipe there from the well. Coil of water line. They're going to put 2 water lines so that if we have a backup, if ever there's an issue with the primary one. And you can see the long trench into the white pipe where it's being fed into to go into the basement.
And then now we are ready basically for backfill. And the guys that did our trenching for the well are also doing our backfill. There is lots of backfill that needs to go in. It's about 3 days worth of work, most likely, maybe 4. And what are we doing here today? Well, I'll show you more outside, but we have a couple a sono tube, which is like a cardboard tube to fill with concrete for a thing at the front of the house. There's some filter fabric and stuff we have to put in the bottom portion, but I'll take you guys on a walk around the house. Over the past couple weeks, we have finished the membrane, we finished the dimple board, some of the trim pieces, things like that. Just small little things that we've been able to do that we've already had material for, and because we're kind of maxed out on funds right now, and it's been, you just have to be careful basically, because if you need to buy something, we don't have any money to buy anything for the house. So that's where we're at, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Sorry for the long-winded explanation and rant, but I just want to be thorough and want to share with you guys the emotions and everything that's happening. So just waiting for my father-in-law to show up, and hopefully we can get cracking here and get some concrete installed. So that's the update. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button down below, and don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, guys. Really appreciate you watching these videos, and that's it. All right, guys, so the trench came from right over there, like I told you, right down here, and goes into the foundation underneath the footings, right in that section, right where my finger is. So that's what they did with this trench. And again, there's 2 water lines going that way. And then there's our power line for the well and all that kind of stuff. So it's nice that we've had some warm weather. We've been really fortunate, and it's melted a ton of the snow, which is awesome. The last thing we did last weekend was just finish up this dimple board here, just to get ready for the backfill. And then what we have to do today is fill this sono tube with concrete. That's part of the front deck area and stuff. So, and then there's these other pads, but I think those are getting done afterwards. But anyways, that's what she looks like. Let's walk around the back. So you can see on this side of the house, the dimple board is going to be roughly where grade is, right? So a lot of this dirt needs to get pushed somewhere else, well, or brought down here, and then the grade comes down to the back where it's flat with the back wall. All the gravel was put in. That's just as we were getting the last snowstorm. So there's our weeping tile that goes all the way around, including the back elevation, which is above and beyond what a lot of builders would do on a build like this. So again, that's done all the way around. So keep in mind, when they backfill, obviously we've got this side of the wall to do as well, the inside, and our excavation on this side is pretty big compared to what really needs to be. So all of our support footings are all done. Those are all on the inside there. And those support footings sit underneath the slab. So because we don't have any posts in our house, you know, normally in a kind of a normal house like our current house, you go into the basement and there's teleposts that actually support the rest of the house. So in our house, there's structural basement walls, basically. So this will all be a 2x6 wall that goes down this entire area behind me, and that supports everything above versus using a post and beam type setup. So lots of different ways to accomplish the same thing. Over on this side of the house, we've got, this was one of our last ones that was poured as well. And then these guys go all the way down to the bottom. I'm assuming that cutout there is for the plumbing and stuff like that. So this is the plumbing line that's come in and goes all the way to over there. I think our mechanical room is right in that area right there. That's why it's run all that direction. And then here's a shot down here. So again, all this gets filled in with dirt, and then all that dirt needs to disappear. So looking from the north side of the house, so this is almost kind of closer to finished grade versus all of that needs to go. And then you look up the north side here along the sports court, and you can see all the gravel and everything that was put in there over the weeping tile. So my initial envision is all of the leftover dirt that's here is kind of going to go into this entire area here to make it more flat. So basically, garage is right there. My vision is that all of this area on the north side of the house ends up being way more flat. Then you can see the grade line over there, but basically a flat section beside the garage, and then this as flat as possible, just up in this area, just so you got more space, you know, if people come with their trailers or you have to park things like that. And then there's a shot of the garage and the Delta wrap and all that stuff. So, all right, back in the truck out of the wind. So it's definitely been fun experience getting to this point. It's been interesting, like always, learning lots and trying to deal with lots of emotions and just trying to be the best version of us that we can.
Sure glad it's my day off.
Hey?
What?
I said I'm sure glad it's my day off.
Can't hear you because you're facing the wrong way on the mic.
I'm sure glad it's my day off.
You get days off? That's not fair.
I think for Katie, every day is a day off. No?
Yeah. Bring the concrete.
Yeah. Okay. Back up just a little bit. Okay. There you go.
That's it?
Yeah. All right, guys, we got the concrete all done. So our tube is nice and full now. And as Katie would say, the digger, Mr. Excavator's over there doing backfill. There we go. Crazy. The other thing we got done was the filter fabric that goes down in the bottom there. We got that all finished as well. So filter fabric just helps filter out the fines and stuff, making another layer of separation between the weeping tile. Anyways, but that's done all the way around the house. And that's it. And the workshop's getting filled in. Should be awesome. But that's kind of the update for the house. So thanks for tuning in, guys. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, anything like that, list them down below. Thank you so much for watching the videos. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And we'll see you in the next update. When we do the next update, I have a feeling that it's going to involve either some window deliveries or it's going to also involve some financing updates. So thanks, guys.